Hello and welcome to A Yelp in the Dark. Today is a Talkie. I'm going to be going over how I use my turtle shell UDT. Just like with Professor Dungeon Master, the outer ring is the sanctuary. If your character is standing in the outer ring, they are removed from combat. They cannot meaningfully interact with combat and its participants. They are outside the building, too far away, etc. The center hex is the spotlight. That's where the focus of all attention should be. It is generally occupied by the group that is being attacked. So if the party were to be surprised by a handful of goblins, the party would start in the center hex, the spotlight. I should let you know right now, I don't generally play Dungeons and Dragons anymore. I use a game system called Tiny Dungeons, or Tiny D6. In that system, everyone gets 2 actions. You can use an action to get up, to move, or to attack. Using my UDT, it takes 1 action to cross 1 zone. The reason I use a hexagon, or a series of hexagons, is 1, it's a tribute to real old school D&D and its wilderness encounters, but also because for a character to cross the center, they could do it in a full action. They could use both actions to cross the board. But if they want to go around and avoid the enemy, it takes longer with a hex. If I used a simple cross system, then going around would be the same distance as going through. Now let's talk ranges. I've already said that if you're in the sanctuary ring, you can't get involved in combat. The next zone in represents far range, meaning if these two want to attack each other, they need to use ranged weapons or magic. If 2 characters occupy the same zone, but they're not within a half inch of each other, then they are near. A near character can still use a ranged weapon to attack, or they can use a weapon with reach. Given that Murderlac is a giant-sized creature, all of his attacks have reach, so he does not need to be next to your base in order to attack you. He can attack anyone in his zone. If 2 opponents are within a half inch of each other, they are in close range, meaning that they can make melee attacks against each other and cannot use ranged weapons against each other. But they can still use magic. And this is the real reason I prefer to use zones, area effect attacks. I hate having to break out a template and try and shift it so that it is in the exact shape that catches the maximum amount of enemies. Also, the player is never quite sure if they're going to be within the range of an area effect attack. With this system, you know. An area of effect attack affects everything in a single zone, except for the caster. In this case, Murderlac's breath weapon, he will blast fire in the zone occupied by our PC. With my game board, I have reduced movement to zones of effect, which are roughly the same distance as a character can move in a single action in Dungeons and Dragons. Players know that if they clump up together in one zone, they're going to get blasted with an area of effect attack. However, if they spread out, they can't support each other. So there's this delicate balance between ganging up on one powerful monster and what happens if it summons minions. And speaking of summoning, as Game Master, I'm allowed to trigger a dramatic interlude. For instance, if the players enter the chamber of Murderlac, I can trigger a dramatic interlude where he dramatically bursts forth from the floor. I don't want to hear players screaming, I attack, as if shouting quickly will give them initiative. It will not. However, if I do trigger a dramatic interlude, which can happen, like I said, from a dramatic entrance, a dramatic transformation, or even a dramatic dialogue, the villain monologues, The players, when he is finished, will have initiative because of that. So cool your jets. You will get to act first. Just let me have this dramatic moment to maybe build up the game, make it a bit more interesting. Another idea that I got from a YouTuber on Dungeons & Dragons is about telegraphs, something that happens in video games. You're fighting the big boss monster, and suddenly red patches appear on the ground, letting you know where his next attack is going to hit, giving you time to react. So at the end of Murderlac's turn, he can do a telegraph, which means the players will have actions to decide what they're going to do with the information they're given, and when Murderlac starts his turn up next turn, whatever he had planned to happen will happen. I use markers as telegraphs. These haven't been painted yet. So what's going to happen? Is Murderlac going to summon columns of lightning to strike down the player? Well, the player doesn't know. He just knows something's going to happen in those 3 zones. In this case, Murderlac has summoned minions to help harass the player. This looks very bad. Honestly, being face-to-face with Murderlac is a fool's errand. But the player should be thinking at this point, it's time to go. Someone has already asked, how would you handle sneak attack from Dungeons & Dragons? I would say that a thief can make a backstab attack once per turn. As for flanking, I don't use flanking rules. Basically, if the monster is distracted by melee attacks from another player, the thief can use his sneak attack, but only once per turn. He could not use both actions to sneak attack. And that's it. It really is that simple. But I like simple. I like to keep it simple. A lot of games I play are played with people who have never played Dungeons & Dragons before and want a one-shot game or a pickup at a party. You can't really teach Dungeons & Dragons to someone on the spur of the moment. But this game system, I can. And that's why I stick with it. Well, I hope you had as much fun watching and learning as I did making these videos. I intend to keep on painting. I'm having a lot of fun with the cartoony style, and someday I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make a traveling Dungeon Master's case to go with all of my fun anachronistic toys. So until next video, I'll be seeing you.